Did you know that over 50% of family vacations end in some kind of disaster? Today, we're diving into 3 terrifying true stories of family vacations that went horribly wrong, where the dream getaway quickly turned into a nightmare. From mysterious keys to deadly shortcuts and dangerous boat trips, these real-life horrors will make you think twice before packing your bags. Stay tuned. We'd rented a small beach house for 4 days. It looked perfect: white steps, blue shutters, a porch swing that faced the ocean. Inside, the air smelled like lemon cleaner and salt. By the door, there was a little wooden rack with hooks for keys. And hanging from one of them was a brass key. No label. No note. Just sitting there. I figured it was the spare the owners left for us, so I didn't think much of it. That first day was normal. Sandcastles, sunscreen battles, our daughter Lily falling asleep with sea salt still in her hair. We were exhausted and went to bed early. But that night, I woke at 2:17 a.m. to a sound I couldn't place. Not the waves. Not the fridge. It was a soft click. The sound of a lock turning. I froze. Then I heard the stairs creak. One board at a time, like someone was testing each step. I went straight to check on the kids. Our son, Evan, was sprawled out asleep, but Lily's door was closed. We never closed it. I pushed it open with one finger. Her crib was empty. I swear my heart stopped. Then I noticed the baby monitor. The little camera we had set up in her room was showing her in the living room. She was sitting on the floor, staring at something just off screen. I ran down and grabbed her. Her eyes were wide, her blanket dragged across the floor like she'd been pulled out there. When I asked her what she was doing, she whispered. The beach man came inside. He told me to be quiet. That was enough. We tore through the house, searching, but found nothing, except the front door was unlocked. And the brass key that had been hanging on the hook was gone. The police came. They said they didn't find anyone. Told us to lock up, get some rest. But the next morning, when I told the owner about the key, she swore no spare was ever left on the hook. They kept them in a lockbox. That night, around 3 a.m., my son screamed. We found him pointing at the closet, swearing someone was inside. When we opened it, it was empty, except we heard a cough. From under the floor. The crawl space. Police came again, this time with AK-9. They found a man hiding down there with a ring of keys, some marked, some not. One matched our front door exactly. He'd been slipping into beach rentals all summer. Watching families. Waiting. That was the last time I ever rented a beach house. My father, my grandfather, and I went camping in Ridgeview State Park. My dad works in risk management, so everything was planned. Backup batteries, laminated maps, even whistles for emergencies. At the ranger station, they told us to stick to the main overlook trail. Flood warnings made the rivers unpredictable. We nodded and set off. About halfway in, a man in a ranger uniform stepped out of a side path. Tall, mustache, his uniform a little faded. He smiled and asked where we were headed. When we told him, he said the main trail was blocked by a fallen tree. But he knew a shortcut. Takes you down by the river, back up in half the time, he said. My dad hesitated, but he looked official. So we followed. The shortcut quickly became steep, muddy. I slipped more than once. Then we reached the shelf, a narrow ledge above a river that was swollen and roaring louder than I'd ever heard water before. My dad told me to go slow. I tried. But when I glanced at the ranger, he wasn't watching the path, he was watching us. Expressionless. That's when I realized something was wrong. We backed away, climbing back toward the main trail. But the slope was slick. My grandfather slipped, sliding fast down toward the ledge. He managed to grab a root, held it just long enough to look up at us, and then it tore free. He was gone. The river swallowed him instantly. We screamed for help. But when we looked back at the ranger, he was just standing there, hands on hips, watching. When my dad shouted for him to call it in, the man finally nodded and walked off into the trees. No radio. No urgency. It was two hikers who found us nearly an hour later and called real rangers. And when we described the man we'd met, they told us no ranger by that description worked there. No one in uniform should have been on that side of the park. They found my grandfather's body 2 days later, miles downstream. His wallet was missing. My dad always taught me to trust rules, to trust authority. But now? If someone offers a shortcut, especially someone who looks official, I'll always wonder who they really are. It was supposed to be our last family trip before my daughter, Renee, left for college. We stayed at an all-inclusive resort. She wanted to do it all: kayaking, snorkeling, even a sunrise turtle release she read about online. At dinner, another couple told her not to bother with the hotel's program. Book with Marco, they said. He'll take you to a secret beach before the crowds. That should have been the warning sign. But Renee begged. And her younger brother, Ben, offered to go with her. They met Marco at 5:20 a.m. He wasn't alone. Another man carried a cooler. Their boat was a small glass-bottom skiff called Sunrise 2. They texted us a picture from the dock, both smiling, tired but happy. By breakfast, they hadn't returned. By 7:30, their phones went straight to voicemail. I went to the marina with the photo. One vendor frowned and told me, "That's not Marco. That's Leo. He used to work here until he lost his license." The Coast Guard searched. At 9:03, Ben somehow managed to call me. His voice was panicked, the wind roaring through the phone. He shouted that Renee was in the water, that the current was pulling her away, that the man on the boat had cut the rope and left. That was the last time I heard her voice in the background. They found the boat drifting near the reef with 2 life vests instead of 4. They found Ben clinging to a broken pier, cut up and shaking. They never found Renee. Leo was arrested days later. He claimed the engine failed, that he panicked. But he had her phone in his bag. And he'd been running these secret beach trips for months. I used to think the sea was calming. Now, it's just a reminder. A reminder that sometimes the most dangerous thing isn't the storm, it's the person who tells you to trust them. 3 family vacations. 3 disasters no one saw coming. A key that didn't belong. A ranger who wasn't a ranger. And a boat that never came back. Sometimes the scariest stories aren't the ones about monsters in the woods, but about people who wear trust like a mask. Stay safe. And remember, if something feels wrong, it probably is.